got you covered here on Cover4 Sports. I'm Coleman, and this is Vol State's 88.5 WVCP Gallatin. And joining me today is
Mike Sadler,
Stephen Ball,
Cade Tidwell.
And today we are going to be talking some NFL Week 8 action, maybe looking a little bit at what's going on Week 9 and stuff, and just hitting some injury news and some trade news and stuff that's happened over the course of this week. And I think the biggest thing that happened, we all know.
The tractor in the room.
Yeah.
I pulled up to school yesterday, and my heart was shattered by the news I saw on my phone when I read that Derrick Henry had a serious foot injury and could miss the season, was the initial report.
The Schefter bombs were
Luckily, the king has not been slain. He's not dead. There is probable hope that he will return. I think
playoff time.
I think especially with how big that Titans win over the Colts is, with them beating them twice this season, I think they have a pretty secure place in the playoffs. The Colts have a very rough schedule ahead, and that's the only team that could win the division over the Titans at this point. And the Titans have a relatively easy schedule besides this upcoming Sunday night football game against the Rams. So obviously it's a big loss. Best running back in football, best player on the Titans, but Tannehill, A.J. Brown, they're getting their rhythm back.
Adrian Peterson
was signed.
I'm not too optimistic about that.
Well,
why?
They also brought in Deontay Foreman, I like to say, who I think he'll probably be the number one back, but if AP can't get it going, because AP is 37. We love AP. It's another Randy Moss, Julio Jones kind of guy. You know that you're like
Andre
Johnson. I have an AP Titans jersey.
Hold on. I think Julio Jones is a little different. He's actually still good.
Oh yeah.
I think AP is at a point he's too old. I don't think he'll be.
He may have been too old the past few teams he's been on.
In all honesty,
he kind of balled last year on the
I'm
Lions,
not against the idea of Jeremy McNichols being the number one guy. I like Jeremy McNichols. I don't think he's incredible, but I think he'll get the job.
I think he needs to
Evans
split carries.
IR.
Split carries. Okay, I can see that.
It's a sad start and maybe into Darrington Evans' career.
It's annoying. It's annoying, but I don't think the Titans should be worried because one, they're the 1 seed in the conference right now, so they have a cushion. They have a cushion. And
cushion. They have a 1-game lead over the Raiders.
They have a cushion for the playoffs. So they're not going to drop out of the playoffs.
They have a 4-game cushion over the division right now.
I don't think they'll end up as the 1 seed, but I think they're a pretty secure lock in the playoffs right now. And in all honesty, if Julio Jones is healthy, the Titans can win some games. I know they've got the Saints in their schedule. I know they've got the Patriots, and they've got the Texans twice. They've got the Jaguars again. Those are winnable games.
You hating on Trevor Siemian?
I'm not saying they're losable games.
Is it going to be Siemian, or is Peyton going to go back to his boy Hill when he's healthy?
I don't want to take some Hill ran Saints team. I look for them to lose a bunch of games and take some Hill.
The Saints without Jameis. I'm very interested in that.
Man, I love me some Jameis Winston too.
I have faith.
He ran 15 yards down the field and faked a shuffle pass to the defense, and they all fell for it. Like, what other player does?
Jameis Winston ruined my childhood dreams at
out for
6th
the year.
grade.
What?
Auburn was up 21-3 in the national title, and here comes
Coleman.
famous Jameis.
Will Jameis even be able to come back next year?
I don't know.
Because this is a
ACL
late
tear is
into
pretty
the
rough.
season injury.
Jameis is done for the year. He's out for the season.
Forever?
That's confirmed. I don't know if he's done forever.
I mean, because like they talk about this, it probably isn't the same as you would hear in basketball, but usually people come back for like 9 months, and that's too early.
Yeah,
He's getting older too.
How old is Jameis?
He's in the Marcus Mariota.
Yeah.
He's getting up like 28 range, somewhere in there.
That's not that old for a quarterback.
He's mid-20s. For a QB, that's not too old. He's still considered in his prime.
Yeah, that's pretty young for a quarterback.
In terms
closing, he's starting to get towards the older gap. I think once you hit 30,
Not nowadays. Maybe like 10 years ago.
32, 31.
But he's nowhere near that yet.
It's like 4 years, but he's coming off injury now.
4 years is a long time.
Do you know how much an injury
he's got the
escalates
rest of the season to recover.
Like,
yes, but the
and the
injury
offseason.
escalates like the process of a quarterback the recovery and stuff. When you get injured, it's different.
well, I wouldn't imagine.
You take 2 years off the prime per an ACL injury.
Would you imagine that would be the case for a player that doesn't actually have to run that much?
Yeah,
But
it's
being-
very different
Who gets hit
basketball
a bunch
versus
though? I mean, you're
a quarterback.
especially Jameis. Jameis is the way he plays. He's all out and he's fighting for everything. Like throwing fake pitches like 12 yards downfield. That's Jameis Winston. When you have like a bad
I love
ACL,
it.
that's in the back of your mind anytime you're doing anything.
I don't
Maybe
think
you're not throwing as many
anything
fake-
is ever in the back of Jameis's mind when he's on the football field.
Time out. Isn't he? Is he also? Do we think that he's a starting quarterback really for many
Yes.
for many teams? We do.
Yes.
Yes.
I do.
I think he's top 20.
Yeah, he's good.
Okay.
He's good enough to be.
I think he's top 20.
he's good enough to be a starter.
I think
He's
Mistake
a starter
prone.
just off
And
the.
as you were saying,
the
Mike,
Getting older,
flashes he can
mistake
shows.
prone, and injury.
The
this is his first major injury in his like fourth or fifth year, and I mean, obviously we don't have enough information right now to know if he's going to be able to make a comeback. But
I would be saying like because like it's November and it's November,
yeah,
right?
it's November and the NFL season starts.
He won't have another season. The season won't start back until like 9-10 months from now, and he probably won't be back until like say September of next year.
And with how much the Saints have depth at QB, they're not forced to play him.
A lot of mock drafts have the Saints looking at guys like Matt Corral this upcoming draft as well. And so
Jameis will go somewhere else.
that's what I'm saying. So like, is some team going to take Jameis, who's had off the field issues, who's starting to get older, whether we define him as old or not?
He stole crab legs in his
There's been
freshman
other
year
things.
of college.
There was some other things.
I
that-
think his off-the-field issues have been resolved since Sean Payton took over as his coach. I don't think that's something teams are going to have to worry about anymore. But how about Von Miller going to the Los Angeles Rams? What do y'all think about that? Does that make
honestly moves like that? It's a big move, yes,
Scary.
but
Ooh.
we have
You're talking
scary
about
and
a defense.
honestly.
You're talking about
We
you're
went two
talking
different
about
ways.
you're talking about a defense with Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey, and now Von Miller.
And
Aaron Donald eats up 3-4 blocks.
You're not even
a
talking
play.
about Leonard Floyd, who had 10 sacks last year and was on another
Yeah.
good pace this
I mean,
year.
those are just the stars of
So
that
now you've got
defense.
two above-average
Yeah.
edge rushers, one of them being elite, plus Aaron Donald, who is
It's
the
a massive
most-
move.
the best
I'm
defender
not
in
trying
the
to
league.
undersell it, but I also don't want to blow this like way out of proportion.
The Rams
It's
have been
not
my
like the
favorite.
Bears getting Khalil Mack. That's not the level that Von Miller's at anymore. And I feel like that's what the media right now is kind of making it out to be.
But
they're making it out to be a prime Von Miller's like. Guess what? It's going to be Jalen Ramsey, the Aaron Donald, and Von Miller show because he's like a
Von
beast.
Miller has helped the Broncos win the few games that they have
Von
this year.
Miller
though. I'm
has
saying
not
he's-
slowed down as much
I'm
as
not
you
saying
think he has.
he's in his prime. He is still a star.
He's
And
still a star,
he's
but
still
let's
a
not
star.
get it confused. He's not like he's not. I wouldn't say he's a top 5 edge rusher anymore.
Yeah, but there's a reason he went for a second and a third and not 2 firsts like Khalil
and that's
Mack
because of
did.
his name.
And at the same time, you also have to think about if the Rams were to hold on to those draft picks, where are they going to play?
That's
Where are they gonna
that's
play?
why I think it was a good move.
I think it was a
because
great move.
what are you going to do with your second and third round pick? Are they going to be starters
It's
immediately,
Super
or are they going to
Bowl
be
or
down the
bust.
line type guys?
So-
and I agree with Super Bowl or bust moves for
Yeah.
teams like the Rams. And if a team's in contention in the playoffs, you're making Super Bowl or bust moves because that's why you play the game. You don't play the game for next year. You play for now.
Yeah.
So I like the move that the Rams made. I think it's a great trade, but don't blow it out of proportion. He's not the insane superstar that he once was.
Well,
After-
when he's on that D line, he will.
now
that's what I'm saying, yeah.
I can agree with
After
that's
this-
going to free him up some with having Aaron Donald and Leonard Floyd.
After this trade, even
Do they still have
before
Brockers there?
I think Brockers was in the trade to the Lions.
Okay.
even before this trade, the Rams have stayed my personal Super Bowl favorite. After this trade, where do y'all have the Rams?
I would have to say they're mine as well. I was
are?
really high on the Bills for a long time, but
I still have the Bills out of the AFC.
They had a rough week.
Yeah,
They-
against Miami.
Miami
Yeah.
hung in that game for
They
a
were down
long
17
time.
to 11 with 9 minutes left in the
It
fourth.
seems like ever since that Titans loss, they've been a little shaky.
Yeah,
And that's what I like to hear.
but yeah, I think
that really.
besides, I mean, Tampa Bay is always up there.
Yeah.
The
But
Bills'
even though
shakiness.
they had an ugly loss, Tom Brady always bounces back from those. But I think the Rams, roster-wise, clear-cut favorites.
Yeah.
Before we talk about the Bills' shakiness, Coleman, who's your favorite right now
For the Super Bowl?
for the Super Bowl?
out of the NFC to make the Super Bowl, I'd say probably the Rams. If their defense and offense, like I'm taking Matt Stafford over any of the other quarterbacks. Brady's good and is the GOAT, but he's not. He's old.
And he already beat him head-to-head once this year.
And I'm just saying, I think teams that have early bye weeks kind of get lost because they don't have that extra win on their stats. But the Dallas Cowboys are still up in prime contention.
I still think they are my favorite.
They're your favorite?
I don't like their defense. I do not like their defense. I don't like second-year guy and first-year guy being the lead dogs. I don't. Micah Parsons down the stretch and Trayvon Diggs down the stretch. I'd rather have Ramsey, Von Miller, and and Leonard.
They're missing DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yeah, and how long's he out, though?
I don't know, but he should be coming back soon, and he is a major contributor.
He is a major contributor.
So
that's why I didn't mention
him. Did you just say
because
you don't like Trayvon Diggs?
I'm saying down the stretch, I don't love him. He does give up a ton of yards.
No, that
he
is
does.
so. No, he
that
doesn't.
Stat
That's
he does.
no. Your
that
stat
stat's
is
a bad stat, but it's also a good stat.
So he gives up the same amount of yards as Jalen Ramsey. Is Jalen Ramsey bad?
It's 2 different yards. They're 1 and 2, but one gives up more.
But by how much though?
Not currently sure.
They were both sitting at about 250 yards each about 2 weeks ago. I haven't checked since then, but they're sitting right next to each other. But people want Trayvon Diggs to be so bad.
Oh, I don't want him to be bad.
But
I like him.
I'm not saying you, but because he's a Cowboy, people don't want to respect
I don't like the Cowboy hate either. I'm not a Cowboys fan, but I don't
Trayvon Diggs is
like
showing
Cowboy
right now.
hate.
Because
but I think that we've blown it out of proportion with some of his picks.
I think we have not, because turnovers are the biggest part of the game. Who cares about how many yards you give up if you can give your offense 7 more possessions in 6 weeks? That's unbelievable.
You place anybody in the spot he's in for some of these picks, though.
No. Have you seen how athletic these plays?
Some of them, yes. Others, no. Some of them have been tips and stuff like. Some of them have been like weird Mahomes type balls that are going through Tyreek Hill's hands.
4 of these picks are him and him only. I don't see another player
and that's
catching these.
dominant. But then you go back and you look at how many yards he's given up with the 4 picks that are definitely his, and then it's a kind of different story. I'm not saying he's not one of the best in the league.
You can't play a game of ifs though, because this happened. So you have to respect what happened.
I'm not saying he's not one of the best in the league. I'm just saying that overall with the Cowboys defense. Is he enough to lead the charge?
Yeah, I'm not even saying he's one of the best in the league, but he is having the best season.
He's definitely had an impact on their season.
He's had a massive impact on their season. But does that continue? Or has I don't know if that pace continues. He's been on breakneck pace. When's the neck gonna break? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I don't trust it. That's why I said I don't trust the
I'm just
defense
saying
down the
you cannot
stretch.
discount anything he's done because of what ifs
no.
or what is
I'm
he
not
going to do.
trying to discount. I'm saying that it's slightly been blown out of proportion. Just saying that it's slightly been blown out of proportion because now that has people believing that the Cowboys' defense is something to be feared.
Yeah.
And it's not something to be feared. You have to fear him.
Yeah.
And when DeMarcus Lawrence is in him. Other than that, Micah Parsons isn't there yet.
Unless,
and that's why I don't trust
unless you are Aaron Donald, one player cannot make a defense. And
I think Jalen Ramsey can also really make a defense.
He can make one side of a defense because nobody's throwing to that side, and that completely changes how the offense has to
another thing with
operate.
Diggs and Ramsey, I think what helps Ramsey is he has the name factor and he's known by everybody. Diggs is starting to become there, but you think back to the beginning of the season when all these balls are still being thrown his way, it's because he wasn't getting much publicity. It's like, oh, he had another pick, and then it's like, whoa, he had another pick, and now it's like, don't throw to Diggs.
It's like,
but it's been don't throw to Jalen Ramsey.
Yeah,
it's been that.
Nobody ever gets open on Jalen Ramsey is the thing, and people get open on Diggs, and then they throw to him, and Diggs is like,
Diggs is a ball hawk. He's just a ball hawk.
And so soon they're not going to they're going to start not throwing towards Diggs. Yeah. But I'm saying right now I'd take Jalen Ramsey because he literally takes away the field.
That was never,
that was never
100% taking Ramsey over anybody.
So the NFC playoff race, you've got the Big Five. You got Green Bay, Arizona, the Rams, the Cowboys.
That was
and
a
the
big game,
Buccaneers.
Green Bay and Arizona.
It was a big game, and a little
I
bit.
still like the Cardinals better than the Packers.
I don't think I do because
they were literally AJ Green turning around,
and they had no Devontae Adams, no Allen Lazard, no Marquez Valdez-Scantling.
They had 11 missing starters and still won the game.
No Preston Smith, no Zadarius Smith.
To Coleman's point, I do think Arizona's the better team. I just think they fumbled the bag.
J.J. Watt, they're dominant. They're still really good, but they're nowhere near their prime.
Yeah.
And
I'm more
they've
on that
kind of
boat with
fallen off
JJ.
a little bit, but they're good at helping a team that's already good. We'll be right back, so keep it here.